I actually wanted to congratulate Chandra Mishra, but now I think I do not know whom to congratulate. Because everyone who has assembled here has contributed to this noble cause, and every one of them needs appreciation. There are innovators, there are persons who have supported the cause, there are persons who have written articles, there are persons who have edited the work, there are persons who have shared their experiences. So all of you have come together. As Chandra Mishra said, this is not a crowd. This is actually a gathering of people who have come together for a noble cause. Actually, when I heard about this initiative, I was wondering that in a very philosophical sense, I think all of us are beggars. Is there not a day in the lives of every one of us when we have not begged for something from somebody? I don't think so. We have at least been begging from God every day for better and better things in life. There used to be a very interesting story about a mullah. Somebody was very poor, he didn't have money, he didn't have food. He went to a mullah. Mullah said, "Why don't you go to the king? The king is a very compassionate person. He will provide you alms." Then this man went to the king, came back. Mullah asked him, "Did you ask the king for help?" He said, "No." Then when the mullah asked him, "Why did you not ask for help from the king?" He said, "I thought you had sent me to a king, but after you went there, I realized that you have sent me to a beggar." Because at the time when this person reached the king it was time for namaz. Therefore, he was kneeling down, he was, stretching his arms and making prayers. Then this person said, "If the king himself is asking for alms from somebody, why should I beg from another beggar? I will also beg from the same person from whom the king is begging." So all of us are in a way beggars. When we are students, we beg for marks. When we are parents, we beg from our children. If they don't listen to us, most of the time they don't listen to us. If they are teachers, we beg from students. I am sorry, sir, if we are politicians, we beg for votes. And as lawyers, we beg from judges for the grant of our prayers. So all of us are in a way beggars, in the philosophical sense of the term. There are very interesting chapters in this book, which makes reading very captivating. In fact, there is an introductory chapter on how all religions treated begging. All religions talk about charity, donation, etc. But is it that the religions wanted to promote charity at the cost of making people beggars? I do not think so. At least in the Indian tradition, begging was ordained only to mendicants, the sannyasis. But the sannyasis were not people, I'm talking about the sannyasis of those days. Sannyasis were not people who begged for want of their daily needs. It was ordained to them to ask for food. And do you know, when Adi Shankaracharya at the age of 5 went to a household and asked for alms, asked for food, he is not supposed to remain at the doorstep of that household for a longer time than 30 seconds. If this brahmachari has got to get food, he must get it within 30 seconds. And whatever this brahmachari is able to collect from 3 households, only that constitutes the food for the day. So there was dignity in asking for food. Second thing, when the household to which he went, Adi Shankara went, could not provide anything except an amla fruit, which she had reserved, the lady had reserved for herself, she did not want to give it to Adi Shankara because it was, It was not good. The condition was not good. Then Adi Shankara takes it and he invokes what is called Kanakadara Stavam. And the goddess of wealth pours wealth on that household. That is the story of this Kanakadara Stavam. The moral of the story is Adi Shankara, who is capable of invoking the goddess of wealth to make that household rich, was he not in a position to make one square meal for himself? That is not the issue. They were ordained to do that, they did that. They were powerful. That is why in our tradition, whenever you provide food for somebody, you are supposed to give dakshina for that person accepting the food. If you do annadan, you have to give dakshina. If you do kanyadan, you have to give dakshina, and that became dowry later on. So there are certain practices where the dignity of the individual was not compromised. In fact, there are, I don't know, you may not understand Tamil. Tamil has got a very rich, heritage. Tamil language has got a huge repertoire of literature. In the ancient Sangam literature, a king who is captured by the enemy king and imprisoned, he starves in the prison. He doesn't want to take food. You can starve, but once you become thirsty, you cannot avoid drinking water. He had to beg for water, and the prison guards provide him water in a plate which is below his dignity. Then he composes a verse which is part of the Sangam literature. He says, if I have to beg for water and live this life, what kind of a person am I? It is better that I had died in the battlefield. Thiruvalluvar, he says, Irandum Veervazhal Vendin, Parandu Keduga Ulagu Yetriyan. If one person has to die of hunger in this world, let the creator be destroyed. That is what Thiruvalluvar says. Therefore, it is our duty to ensure that this is no more a disease that permeates our society. All of us, as Mr. Chandra Mishra said, owe a responsibility. In fact, the Supreme Court decriminalizing begging is a very historic moment. We have not celebrated that judgment as much as we have celebrated decriminalization of something else. I don't say that should not be celebrated, but this should also have been celebrated. So the law, the way it was developed by our colonial rulers, is completely different from the law as it is today. I only have one suggestion before I wind up. In fact, I have marked several portions of the book. Then I thought I would not read out, because if once I read out, I would have had to read the entire book for the audience, and I was afraid that nobody will buy the book thereafter. It was an audio launch of the book. I didn't want to convert this book launch into an audio launch of the book. There was only one suggestion which I thought. Today we are very sensitive to the nomenclature that we use. Should we actually call this begging? Should we actually call them beggars? Is this not a nomenclature which may hurt people? The Cambridge English Dictionary has got at least about 36 synonyms to my knowledge, one of which is hobo. People may not understand, let them not understand. Or there is one more term which is called panhandlers. Panhandler is a term which is synonymous to begging. So something of that sort which does not offend the dignity of the individual. Our endeavor is to make people live a more dignified life. When we make such an endeavor, should we also not take care of the words and phrases that we use, the language that we use, the nomenclature that we give? That is the only suggestion that I thought which is within my purview today to give you. Whatever is in the purview of the NHRC, we will take care later. Thank you very much.